What's up, everybody, and happy Wednesday, happy hump day. We are halfway through the week, and I could not be more excited. This week is very busy for me. Today actually is very busy. I'm surprised that I was able to steal away time to record this video, which honestly is no one's fault but my own, because I should have recorded it this morning like I planned to, but that's neither here nor there. But this week is very busy, and honestly it's because I have PTO on Friday and then Monday and Tuesday, because as you guys know, my birthday is on Saturday, and originally I had planned on going out of town, but because of all the stuff that's going on, I cannot. It's still pretty busy, and I feel like a lot of times, anytime that I go on PTO for my job, or anytime I have time away from my job, I'm always busy because I'm trying to cram a lot of things into making sure that things are taken care of prior to me leaving the office. Even though technically I'm not leaving the office, like if I needed to log on to my computer, I easily can, but I would just prefer not to. But I don't know. Sometimes I also realize this about myself, which actually we'll get into a little bit today as part of our activity for later on today. But I realized about myself that I have some controlling traits. And this is honestly, or what I just described was honestly a part of me. And that controlling trait is, trying to make sure everything is good before I leave, when really, like, it's going to be fine. Like, as long as I don't leave, things undone, it's fine. But I'm trying to do extra stuff, and it's just becoming too much, and I'm stressing myself out. So I don't know. Just one of the things about me that I'm trying to work through. But again, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, actually, in our activity for today. So let's get right into it. As always, God is blessing us. He's always going to be blessing us. Really quick pause. Thank you guys for dealing with me in my hat. You guys at this point have seen me with a hat more than not. So, but this is just what it is. I'm trying to do some things with my hair, and my hair is not responding like normal, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but we're just gonna rock it out with the hat until we get it together. So yeah, let's get back into it. So this week we are talking about authenticity and also our identity. So remember, the focus for this month is to be you, and in that focus we're identifying the ways that we can not only asking ourselves the question who we are, but we're also identifying the ways that we can strive to be the best person that we were created to be, which goes back to that question of who we are, because we can't be the best person we were created to be if we don't know who we were created to be. Okay, so on Monday we talked about our authentic design, what a design meant, and really understanding that we were all predestined, because that's what a design is. A design is created before the creation of whatever you were, like before the creation of the product. So if I'm designing, or if I want to build a table, there's gonna have to be some type of design that goes into it prior to me getting into it. Other than that, it's just gonna be a random assortment of things. And not saying that can't work, but the best way for anything to function is if you put some thought into it previously. And I don't want to argue that point, because it's just facts. It's just facts. But so yeah, on Monday we talked about our design, and that we are predestined to do certain things, and we talked about us being unique and everything like that. Today I want to talk about our authentic identity and what that means together, because it's a phrase. An authentic identity is a phrase that honestly you can't have one without the other, and I'll explain when we get into the definitions. But it's a phrase that I want us to start using for ourselves, especially those that have struggled with identity issues in the past. I want us to start saying, like, or start understanding who we are in our authentic identity, and not just like, oh yeah, that's who I am, or yeah, that's me. Remember last week we identified, or we drew up a list. I hope you guys did the homework. But we came up with a list of the obvious things about ourselves and who we are, and then we said, okay, outside of that, like, who really are we? And that's what our authentic design really, our authentic identity talks about, is outside of the obvious things. Like, it's taking a look at characteristics, personalities, like who your spirit is, and what others would describe you as. But I'm jumping ahead, so let's get into it. the definitions. Of course, we are not going to go too far without making sure we understand the definitions of those words. So what does it mean to be authentic? It means, to be authentic means that you're genuine, okay? Or that there's an undisputed origin, meaning that if you trace it back, you know what the purest form is. So something that's authentic, like a lot of times you hear authentic for, oh, we must have a package. That actually really made me nervous. But a lot of times you'll hear the word authentic when talking about like fabrics or like materials or something, like wood, for example. Like an authentic piece of wood is not wood that is like been meshed with other pieces of wood, but it's authentic, it's pure. So or it's genuine, it's real, it's true, all of those things. And then identity, that I think we defined identity last week, is the fact of being or what a person or a thing is. So the fact, meaning that it's true, it's real, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks actually, is our own truths. But so when we're talking about an authentic identity, we're saying that being you is all that you understand, or all that you know how to be, is being you. And that may seem like an easy concept on the surface, but once you get deep into it, and again, this is going to go into our activity, you will realize that a lot of your identity, or a lot of the things that you identify with, are not things, or a lot of the things that people identify you with are not things that you would identify yourself with. And if that's the case, then you don't have a 100% authentic identity, because you're just like a melting pot of other people's identities. And not saying that there's nothing wrong with that, because to an extent, we all have characteristics or traits of other people. For example, I have characteristics and traits of my mother, of my father, of my siblings, because I'm around them a lot, and because I grew up in the same household with those people. But we don't have the same identity. And that's where the authenticity comes from, is just because we share some similar traits doesn't mean that her identity and my identity, her, and by her I mean my sister, because she's in the next room over, but doesn't mean that our identities are the same, okay, if that makes sense. So it's not authentic if you don't know your identity, and you can't truly live in your identity without understanding the authenticity behind it. So that was a lot rolled up into one, but hopefully our activity will help explain it. So our activity, which we're going to discuss a little bit on Friday, but mainly we're going to discuss on Saturday when I go live, Saturday morning, is I want you to write down the things. And again, these are the not obvious things. So don't write down you're black if you're African American, or don't write down, you're white if you're Caucasian. Don't write down the obvious things. But I want you to write down the things that make up your identity. Okay, so the characteristics, and your personality traits and things like that. And also think about the things, and if you don't know, you can also ask people to, like, actually that would be a really good activity too, is just to ask like your friends or your coworkers or your family members, like, how would you describe me? And not obvious things again, but like, what are the characteristic traits, or what are the personality traits that you would use to describe me? Okay, and when you receive those back, or when you get that information back, then like match that up with the list that you made of yourself, and see like how much of that is factual or not. Like if someone is describing you as a serious person, but you don't have serious anywhere on your list, like, so which one are you? Are you a serious person, or are you a funny person? Are you a mixture of both? Or, something like that. So I want us to do this activity. That way we can really understand what our authentic identity is. Because again, this is all about making up who we are. And granted, hopefully nothing on your list is negative, or nothing on the list that people see you as negative. But hopefully it can really help identify the things that we would like to identify with. Because if no one is describing you as a joyful person, but you would like to become joyful, now we have some things that we can work off of. Because if I'm not a joyful person, but I would like to be a joyful person, how do I help adopt that into my identity? And honestly understanding that our Creator, Jesus Christ, He was a joyful person. So how do I get back into how do I tap back into adopting some joyful personality traits and characteristic traits into my identity so that I can become more authentic and more genuine and more real and all of that. So that is our homework, or that is our homework for today, and we'll discuss it a little bit on Friday, because on Friday we're going to talk about how to be authentic and what that looks like, and then on Saturday I'm going to go live and kind of wrap up these last 2 weeks that we had. So that's a lot. That is a lot. So we got some work to do, people, but hope everyone has a great rest of their day today and a fabulous Thursday, and I'll talk to you guys again on Friday. Bye.